let's get started by, can I invite Hajah Rotina Muhammad Daik, the Director General of Jabatan Landscape Malaysia, to deliver her keynote address. Hajah Rotina, please.
Thank you, Dr. Bala. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh, and very good morning. Thank you again to Dr. Balamurugan, the moderator for today's session. Our fellow panelists yang berusaha Dr. Noor Azlin, Yahya, yang berusaha Associate Professor Dr. Zeeda Fatimah, Muhammad, and Miss Sofia Castelo. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to extend my gratitude to the Secretariat today for having me, and I'm very happy to be part of the discussions on the sustainable development, and I would like to deliberate more on how green infrastructure can play a key role in bringing back nature into the cities, and how a proper planning and intervention can help to transform Malaysia urban physical and landscape and the ambience of our physical urban area. As an introduction, I would like to just briefly introduce National Landscape Department. The National Landscape Department has been entrusted by the government since its establishment in 1996 to be responsible to spearhead the country landscape developments towards realizing the national visions of making Malaysia a garden nation. The department's functions is to foresee the provisions of landscape and public spaces, strategizing and plan multi-scale concept, providing a wide range of environmental, economic and social benefit to the stakeholder. And we aim to create a healthy and enriching public spaces to live and to work while without compromising the importance of the stable environment between the urban hardscape or the urban fabric and saving the environment. And this is through ensuring the landscape development, public parks, open space and recreational facilities, especially in the urban areas, are at the best quality, functions and vibrant as well as cost effective. I think just to have a brief introduction also about the landscape policy, where the landscape policy was launched in 2011 and has been extensively used as a comprehensive guide in determining the directions of landscape development formulated to aim to transform and revitalize not only the physical part of our ambience, but also how people perceive and appreciate landscape. That is the main aim of having the policy. And the trust outline also emphasize on the importance of the natural landscape preservation and conservation, especially in the cities, urban areas, in order to earmark the character, the identity and its significance. Landscape development approach in Malaysia is to make sure Malaysia's landscape has an agreed amount of open spaces, green area to meet the future community needs, especially in our existing scenario of a living environment. The strategies include in making sure all urban parks, public spaces, green spaces and all the public area are gazetted and managed accordingly to their designated purposes. At the moment, as all of us know, that provisions of open space is outlined at the 10% spaces must be reserved for recreational purposes in every development. And apart from that, Malaysia Physical Planning Council has also outlined the standards of 2 hectares of area for every 10,000 population. That is an ideal ratio, and this is indeed an important direction by the government to ensure that future green spaces provision in the cities are well taken care of. Clear policy and regulation with regards to creating nature in the city at the national and the state level should be initiated intensively, translated from the master plan to be implemented on the ground by having a well-formulated guidelines and action plan. As we progress, to complement the Malaysia physical development with more green space or open spaces, it is fundamental that cities authorities are empowered to give nature-based solutions, enabling them to meet their obligation to reach the objective of realizing the aspiration of sustainable public spaces and urban development, which can be reached through restoring nature and increase the biodiversity in the cities. Ladies and gentlemen, after we are hit with COVID recently, we can see that people are yearning for fresh green spaces and for recreation, and to distress after a series of movement restriction order. Demand for more access to the nature and green spaces such as urban park, forest trail and forest recreational area have increased tremendously. During the lockdown, where parks are mostly closed, we can see that people are actually demanding for the parks to be open so that they can have their activities outside their house. What I'm trying to emphasize here is that at the moment, the provisions of parks or a proper green spaces to accommodate the community recreation needs, especially in the urban area, are still far beyond the actual amount that we need to provide to the population. Cities, I think as all of us know, cities in Malaysia will need to adapt and initiate actions by greening the urban environment in the post-COVID world, and this means that we need to have a proper steps or strategies in creating or making the spaces more nature. And I would suggest that the 5 strategies that we should take and also implement in developing our future cities, in bringing nature into the cities, among others, are to have the strategies to conserve and restore the existing nature in the cities. This is the most important strategies to be prioritized, as finding connection to nature in the cities is the key to healthy living environment. The strategy aims to focus on ensuring the species and the ecosystem at the same time. We enhance our natural reserve. Existing nature and forests in the cities should be first to be protected and restored, as they can act as a buffer against the impact of urbanization. And also it also helps to stabilize the habitat for the species, and a part of that, they also provide a space for nature-based recreation. The second strategy is actually to create more nature-based as well as well-connected parks and gardens within the urban setting. Well-connected and properly managed urban green spaces such as community and urban park and also other nature reserve in the cities can contribute to the healthy urban living environment. At the same time, can act as a climate change adaptation and also improve the quality of air, the air quality in the urban setting. Despite this significant potential, the use of urban green spaces remain marginal and fragmented within the cities. We are trying to diminish this gap through selecting through the action by selecting suitable site for public parks or to transform a certain spot in the cities to become parks or public spaces through a comprehensive technical analysis, and this is done by the cooperation with most of the local authorities in Malaysia. Through these actions, local issues and the potential has been forecasted and addressed accordingly to be implemented, utilizing nature resources and the water bodies such as lake, rivers, wetlands as a medium for maybe to mitigate disasters or flood. So the nature-based solutions shall contribute toward Malaysia resilience in addressing the challenges of flooding due to climate change. It is also important to increase and diversify the numbers of native species and flora and fauna within the urban area, properly through the developments of urban parks. Proper studies about these two elements shall help to the local biodiversity and habitat to be improved. And we also are committed to reintroduce native species into our environment and extend the biodiversity further into the urban landscape. I think with the help of other agencies or strategizing multi-discipline into the development of urban parks in the city, we can improve the involvement of other agencies in making city more nature. The third strategy is to restore and to reintroduce the nature into the urban landscape. The streetscapes, urban plazas, and other open communal spaces need some touch of nature restoration, especially places that are exposed to direct sun and heat. These areas should be properly treated. Restoration of nature can be done through creating a green connector with the help to mitigate and elevate the harshness of the built environment. An effort of greening our cities through multi-tiered planting should be intensified to make Malaysia a cooler city, comfortable, conducive for pedestrians as well as the city dwellers. We also advocate a vertical and sky-rise greenery to be implemented widely in the densely populated area, and as such, this effort will surely help to mitigate the urban heat effect. As a result, it can we can have a cooler temperature in the microclimate of certain area. The next strategy is to emphasize on the ecological and recreational connectivity in the urban area or in the urban development system. In ensuring a sustainable ecosystem, it is important that we create and strengthen the ecological connectivity between our green spaces. The creation of this network should promote more people to walk or cycle within the cities, and subsequently will reduce the vehicular usage. We shall continue to strive to get an ideal green space provision where every individual should have an access to a public parks or public open spaces from their home. Meaning to say that immediately they go out of their house, they are already accessible to the parks or public well managed and maintained public spaces. The fifth and the final strategy is to inspire community to co-create and to be the steward of nature. we should make sure the community are enabled and empowered to forge a closer bond with nature through active stewardship of the environment. We should expand our outreach program to communities and individuals to encourage them to demand for greenery to be provided for their better environment. One of the direct effort is by encouraging planting, community planting, or maybe community engagement activities that relate to nature, where we target, especially should be done to with the urban dwellers. With the active support and participation for from the volunteers, the partners, and also the community itself, we hope to galvanize the constructive community actions toward caring for Malaysia living environment and inspire a new way of living with nature, and in doing so foster a more gracious and caring society. Ladies and gentlemen, I think the way forward, what we need to do to ensure whatever we plan are implemented as what intended for, I think it is timely that we should relook at the existing layout of our cities and should review the standards, especially the way we lay out our residential area. So with a proper policy, a regulation in place, our hope is that our city will become better in enhancing the potential of nature to be assimilated within the urban environment. We are delighted to be part of this journey to provide sustainable living environment for Malaysians, and we are looking forward to garner effort and to oriented towards a sound and effective landscape governance within our city. I think with that, I will thank everybody today to be with me, and I hope we can work together to create more nature in the cities and for the betterment of our future generation. With that, I thank everybody to be with me. Thank you very much.
Hajah Rotina, thank you very much. That was a very good overview of how the department and the government as a whole is approaching urban ecology, eco-urbanization.